In this video, I'm going to show how to start the puzzle cube modeling. And one thing that's really nice about OnShape as compared to other CAD programs is we can actually model all of our parts together so that we know how they relate to each other. We can see if there's interferences, we see if there's anything that can't actually happen. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got my brainstorming in front of me that you can't see, but I'm going to make a sketch, and I'm just going to make my first part. And I'm going to try to find one that's kind of on a corner or like on the bottom or something that I can then use as kind of a logical starting point. So, you know, have one that's kind of maybe on the bottom, and we'll start there and then work our way up. And so I'm going to select a sketch plane, and I'm going to probably select this top one, this right here. That way I can kind of look down from it, and again, we're kind of starting from the bottom and working our way up. And the one I've done is actually a fairly simple. It's kind of an L shape, but then there's going to be another block that kind of comes up from this corner here. And so from here, I can use my dimension tools, and so I've got my dimension here, and I'll add in 0.75 because each of the squares is 3/4 of an inch, or 0.75. And then another thing I can do, and this is just practice with that, I could add in more dimensions, or if I want, I can think about, okay, what are my geometric constraints that I can use? So in this case, I'm going to use equal because I know that this side right here and this side right here are equal. So I clicked on one, then I clicked on the other, and the computer made them to be equal. And funny enough, this side and this side are actually equal as well. This one and this one are equal. So we've got all of these options right here. All of my blue lines turn to black, meaning that I'm fully constrained. And so if I wanted to double check, I could add in this dimension. It's grayed out. That's a driven dimension, which means that the computer's doing the math for us. If we do put in a dimension, it's going to get red and get angry with us. So for now, we can actually just omit that and not use it. So now we've got this first part right here, and I'm just going to, of course, switch my view around, and using my view cube is what I like to do. It's new. Here's my face. All of my squares are 0.75, so you're probably going to extrude many of these at 0.75. So there we go. We've got that one right there. And then what I'm going to do is, like I said, there was another square that's going to attach right here. So I'm going to make a new sketch. I'm going to put it on this face right here. And so that's my flat surface through space. And I'm going to now draw in, and I know it goes from here, and it actually goes to this corner as well. You can see that my 0.75 is already showing up, and so I've already defined those sizes. This has to be 0.75 to go from that first corner I clicked on to the second corner, and to make that rectangle. If not, I can add in dimensions and just make sure they're correct, or I can use things like the coincident constraint to line up the different lines. However you can do that, however makes the most sense to you, as long as we get this fully constrained and all the lines are the correct size. Then from there, again, flipping to that 3D view, going to extrude, and in this case I'm going to make sure I have add, and I'm going to make sure that I'm actually dimensioning the correct amount. And so I like to kind of click somewhere off into space here. That updates the view here anytime I make a change, especially to the depth. So okay, that makes sense. That's the part. That's what I want. Now, the next thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to make another part. And my next part that I've brainstormed is one that fits here. So it's like one cube, and then it goes 1, 2, 3 tall, and then there's little arms that come out for here, and another one that comes out to here. Whenever you're making your parts, you definitely want to have these kind of three-dimensional, not just flat parts, even though that's okay for one or two, but you want ones that are kind of three-dimensional like this. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, I'm actually going to make my sketch right here, and I like to select, anytime I have a part already, I like to select portions of that. That way they all relate, so if things start moving, they'll move together. And so I've got that, I've drawn that. I'm going to look at it straight on, and I can see that I have my sketch. Looks a little backwards, but that's okay. And then from here, again, I can't get the snap, although if I move my mouse there, it lines up, and if I try that for both, hey, it worked. You can see I have a horizontal and a vertical constraint going on. If that's not the case, if you just draw any size of square, you always have the option to dimension. Of course, I snapped to that corner right there, and then I can also make those equal. Again, there's a lot of different ways to draw these things, but whatever works for you is what you should use. And so I'm going to finish that one. I'm going to take a look at my drawing again, and like I said, this is just going to go that 1, 2, 3 squares tall, so I'm going to extrude, and it's going the wrong direction. I can change that here. I'm going to change the depth. It's 0.75 times 3. I can type that in as a math problem. This little asterisk is, that star is the multiplication symbol according to the computer. The other option is I can type in 2.25, which is the dimension it would be otherwise. You can see that it added to that existing part, but I actually want, this is going to be part of a new thing. This is going to be brand new, so I'm going to make sure, even if the computer keeps trying to make it add, I'm going to make sure at the end it's making a new part, and it is, so that's good. And so now you can see the computer automatically changed the colors on those, so that's good. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add that little arm right here, and there's a couple different ways I can do it. I could draw this square and extrude it up and all that, or I could draw it on here and extrude it over. It doesn't really matter, so I'm just going to select this one. I already have that face, and I'm going to go ahead and draw this right here. And it's something that's kind of interesting is you can actually draw numerous faces, and so I can draw this one over here as well, and I can extrude both of those. They start at the same spot, they're going to end at the same spot, and so I can actually do that, 2 of those I believe, as part of one extrusion. So switching my view. Notice we're switching views a lot. That's something that you'll have to get familiar with. And so I'm going to select this, and I'm going to select this one right here, and I'm going to add this, and I'm going to make sure that I'm selecting. So I've got this blue box right here, and that tells me, you know, I need to click somewhere over in this graphics window. So I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to make sure that my depth, it's going to go up 0.75. Another good way to do this is you actually have up to face. So these are actually going to go to the same height as this. So it starts here, and then it's going to go to this parallel face right here. So I can actually select that. We just need to define it somehow. And I encourage you to kind of think about how you might do that. And you'll notice that I'm doing a lot of relating existing parts to existing dimensions. And I do that because if we need to make a change in one place, it'll actually kind of update. It makes that part a little simpler if we do make a mistake. Just a habit that I'm hoping you get into. So I'm going to hit OK. And now I've got these 2 parts, and now I can kind of continue on with the other ones in kind of the similar fashion. One thing that I might do right now is change the actual color. So I'm going to edit the appearance. I'm not sure if I really like this light blue. I like to switch to kind of brighter colors, to be honest. And so I've got that one right there. All good. I can select part 2, and I can edit the appearance there. And maybe I want to make that one yellow as well. And that just helps me to kind of identify and have these be separate in my mind a little bit easier. So those are 2 parts that were of the puzzle piece that we're going to then eventually turn into an assembly and eventually turn into drawings. And so there you go. You just kind of make 3 more, at least 3 more. So we need a total of 5 parts altogether.